Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the tragic story of the First War, the conflict that really kicks off the entire Warcraft saga. It's a tale of a paradise lost, a devastating invasion, and a betrayal from the one person who was supposed to protect it all.
You know, it all began not with a massive army, but with a secret. A conspiracy that's pretty much summed up by this chilling quote from Magus Medivh. And to really get the weight of these words, you have to understand, Medivh wasn't just any mage. He was humanity's greatest protector, which of course makes him its ultimate betrayer.
Before the war, the world of Azeroth was, well, deceptively peaceful. The Kingdom of Stormwind especially was this shining beacon of prosperity, protected by honorable knights and guided by devout clerics. For all intents and purposes, it was a paradise, just on the brink of a total collapse. But from a dying world, a brand new force was about to emerge, the Orcish Horde. See, they were corrupted by demonic blood, and this turned them into a force driven by this insatiable lust for battle, wielding terrifying evil magic. Their one and only goal was conquest, and Azeroth was their new target.
The invasion was only made possible because of this, the Dark Portal. But here's the thing, this gateway wasn't just an Orcish creation. No, it was the result of a secret, kinda impossible alliance between Azeroth's most powerful mage, the Guardian Medivh, and the ambitious orc warlock, Gul'dan. Two worlds connected by treason.
So when the first orcs stumbled through that portal, the humans were completely unprepared. I mean, the initial reports were just confused whispers. Were they some kind of weird trolls? Maybe vengeful spirits? Nobody could have possibly imagined the sheer brutality and dark magic they were about to unleash.
And the conflict escalated with just terrifying speed. What started as some confused sightings in a swamp blew up into a full-scale invasion. Within a single year, Horde raiding parties were burning entire villages to the ground. And by year 3, the full might of the Horde was right at the gates of the capital city itself. The kingdom was on the brink.
And here's the real kicker. Stormwind's calls for help went totally unanswered. They sent desperate messengers to the other human kingdoms, but their pleas were just dismissed as rumors, exaggerations. For years, Stormwind had been proudly independent, and that very arrogance came back to haunt them. They were left to face this world-ending threat completely alone.
And yet, despite all the odds, the humans pulled off a stunning victory. In the first big siege of their capital, just as the Warlock's evil fire was about to break their defenses, their brilliant commander, Sir Anduin Lothar, led this heroic, surprise cavalry charge. He just smashed into the Horde's flank, turning the tide in a tactical masterpiece that sent the invaders reeling.
But the humans' greatest enemy wasn't actually on the battlefield. No, he was in their inner circle, the trusted guardian of their kingdom, the man who was supposed to be their ultimate protector, Medivh.
This right here was the true turning point of the war. Medivh's own apprentice, Khadgar, uncovered the horrific truth. He and the half-orc Garona raced to warn the king, which forced Anduin Lothar to make an impossible choice. He had to lead a strike team to confront and kill his own childhood friend, the very man responsible for all of this destruction.
But Vidiv's death had this shocking, totally unexpected side effect. At the exact moment he was slain, his co-conspirator Gul'dan was psychically linked to his mind. The psychic backlash from the death was so powerful, it sent the warlock into a deep coma, instantly neutralizing the true power behind the Horde's throne.
So with the masterminds of the invasion gone, one dead, the other in a coma, you'd think the war should have been over. The Horde was leaderless. It really seemed like humanity had been saved. But it just wasn't that simple.
And this raises a really critical question. Did killing the traitor Medivh actually save the kingdom? Or did it just unleash something far, far worse? The answer was a resounding no. The power vacuum left by Gul'dan's coma allowed a new, much more dangerous leader to rise up. A guy named Orgrim Doomhammer, a cunning and ruthless strategist, challenged and killed the puppet war chief Blackhand. Now, unlike Blackhand, who was really just a pawn, Doomhammer was his own master. The Horde was now truly free and truly terrifying.
See, unlike his predecessor, Doomhammer was a brilliant and ruthless tactician. He immediately united the warring clans and launched a second, final siege on the capital. This assault was more organized, more focused, and way more brutal than the first one.
But the decisive blow, the final nail in the coffin, came from within. The half-orc emissary Garona,
who had actually become a trusted friend of the humans, was secretly a prisoner in her own mind, bound by the magic of Gul'dan's Shadow Council. In the chaotic heart of the siege, she was magically forced to do the unthinkable. She assassinated King Llane in his own throne room.
The king's assassination just shattered the defenders' will to fight. Their leadership was gone, their hope was completely extinguished, and the once mighty Kingdom of Stormwind fell. Its capital was burned to the ground, and its people were scattered to the winds. The Horde had won.
But the story doesn't end there. In the ashes of Stormwind, the fall of one kingdom was really just the opening act of a much larger conflict. The survivors' flight would plant the seeds of the next great war.
So, when all the dust settled, this was the state of the world. Stormwind was in ruins, its king was dead. But the Horde? The Horde was stronger than ever. It had purged its old, corrupt leadership and now followed a powerful, cunning war chief. The balance of power hadn't just shifted, it had been shattered.
Anduin Lothar knew the battle for his homeland was lost. His final duty wasn't to fight, but to flee, to save his people and to warn the rest of the world. He gathered every survivor he could find and led this desperate exodus by sea, sailing north with the hope of rallying the other human kingdoms before it was too late.
Their arrival in the northern kingdom of Lordaeron, which is summed up by this desperate plea, marked the official end of the First War. But it was also the first alarm bell for the next one, a conflict that would soon engulf the entire world. The threat wasn't a distant rumor anymore, it was right on their shores.
And this leaves us with a final, chilling question. What happens when an unstoppable force, having already wiped one kingdom completely off the map, turns its eyes to the rest of an unsuspecting world? The First War was over. The Age of Chaos had just begun.